The purpose of these lessons is to show you the logic behind the most basic Chinese characters, beginning with the simplest pictograms, and later combining these elements to create more complex characters. This lesson is a continuation of Lesson 90, which introduced 对, a person's hand holding an ornamental staff on a raised mound. This combination represented one of two honor guards standing on either side of the king. In today's new characters, that fancy ornamentation on the guard's ceremonial staff now depicts a horizontal board with many sawtooth-like cutouts on top for the purpose of hanging bells. It's pronounced fourth tone, ye, ye. A wooden frame with bells suspended to it was erected only for important solemn occasions, giving this character its earliest meaning of serious and cautious, found in only one common expression. Much more important in modern Mandarin, however, is taking this character's representation of a wooden framework and applying it first to the wallboards of a house and later to the front and back covers of books. This last meaning is the most common one today. Since a traditional Chinese education has always consisted of reciting the ancient classics from memory, absorbing them literally from cover to cover, ye came to mean schooling in general, the progression from easy to total mastery within the confines of a specific area of knowledge. So now we have many uses of ye relating to schooling and education. First is the expression for homework, 作业. 你的作业完成了没有? Have you finished your homework? 我儿子在作业上花的时间不多. My son spends little time on his assignments. 爸爸拿了我跟哥哥的作业来相比. Dad compared my homework with my brother's. 今天你的指定作业是什么? What was set for homework today? 作业 can also be applied to specific work or tasks performed in other occupations. For example, 水下作业, an underwater operation. 明天的工作全都是野外作业. Tomorrow's job is entirely field work. People working on a production line in a factory can be called a 作业班. 作业班的成员都必须认真合作. All members on the same production line must fully cooperate. 毕业 is the term for graduation, literally to finish schooling, whether that be kindergarten or university or any other non-academic class in between. 毕业后，我女儿想从事银行工作. After graduation, my daughter wants to work in banking. 要是不认真念书，你就毕不了业. If you don't apply yourself diligently to your studies, you won't graduate. 我侄女 是外语系毕业的，想出国找工作。My niece graduated with a degree in foreign languages and wants to find work abroad. 我跟大叔一样是念化工系毕业的。Both my uncle and I graduated with degrees in chemical engineering. 化工 is the usual abbreviation for chemical engineering. The full terminology will appear in a later lesson. Now we'll move on to trades, occupations, or professional careers. The general term for one's line of work is 行业。你从事的是哪门行业？ What line of business are you in? Or more commonly, what do you do? 我哥哥从事汽车行业很久了。My brother has been working in car sales for a long time. Most Chinese would consider car business to mean car sales. 因为没有高中毕业，我被迫从事这行业。I never graduated high school, so I'm forced to do this job. 那里的主要行业是什么？手工业。What's the main occupation there? Handicrafts? 他今天从事的行业跟他念的书完全无关。The business she's in today has nothing to do with what she studied in school. The character 就 in lesson 41 was the combination of a pointing index finger, 有 plus 经, a watchtower high upon a hill. Possibly because etymologists cannot be sure, it was travelers pointing to the tall watchtower of a city they were fast approaching. 就 emphasizes immediate proximity, how near something is, either physically or with respect to time. By combining 就 with 业, 就业, we have the expression for finding employment, literally coming upon a job. 就业机会 would then be translated as employment opportunities. 如今国内的就业机会有限。The domestic market offers limited employment opportunities these days. 如何增加就业机会是个恼人的问题。How to increase job opportunities is a vexing problem. Some people don't just go out and find a job, they create one by starting a business, called 创业 in Chinese. 创业者要怎样才能找到他们的天使呢？ What must entrepreneurs do to find an angel investor? 回想起来，那些创业的日子真不好过。Looking back, those early days starting this business weren't easy. 开业 is the way to say start doing business or begin practicing a profession. 5月份有一家西餐厅开业。A Western restaurant opened in May. 那家餐厅易手了，在开业时间另行通知。That restaurant has changed hands. The reopening will be announced at a later date. 最少需要多少日元才能得以开业？ What's the least amount needed in Japanese yen to set up shop? 食品业如今的景象如何？好不好开业？ What's the outlook for the food industry? Is it easy to start up? 这个地点来往的人多，开业十分理想。 This place has plenty of foot traffic, perfect for opening a business. 我要开业，朋友都支持我。With encouragement from all my friends, I'm going to start a business. If all does not go well, a person may find him or herself unemployed. 失业 literally, to lose one's job. 我爸爸已失业7个月了。My dad's been unemployed for 7 months now. 你就甘心这样失业吗？ Are you resigned to being unemployed like this? 你不理财，有一天失业，你就完了。If you don't manage your finances, you'll be in deep trouble should you lose your job. 违法行为跟失业有明显的关系。Being unemployed and engaging in illegal activities are clearly related. 事业 is an enterprise or career. 为了嫁给你，她抛开了一切事业。To marry you, she gave up any possibility of a career. 这些男生以后在事业上一定出人头地。These boys will definitely succeed in their future careers. 你对员工小气，以后可能不会成就大事业。By being so stingy with your staff, you may never have a successful enterprise. 柳叔叔在事业上一事无成。Mr. Liu has achieved nothing as far as a career goes. 一事无成 is an idiom meaning to accomplish nothing. Remember that calling someone uncle or aunt, mama or papa, brother or sister, plus their surname, indicates he or she may be good friends, neighbors, or coworkers, but they are not actually relatives. This is one way the Chinese can express friendly familiarity, the way many European languages use second-person singular pronouns, such as tu and toi in French, or thee and thou in Old English. Chinese children learn these forms of address very early in life when family friends come to visit. The adults will determine the proper way to address their friends according to generational seniority, and the children will be expected to remember it. An enterprising spirit is rendered as 事业心。你们若没有事业心的话，就不会有成就。Without an enterprising spirit, you won't accomplish anything. 业主 is the owner of an enterprise or estate, a proprietor. 这个问题我必须跟业主讲，才能回答你。I'll have to speak to the owner about this before answering you. 田地的业主不常到田地上来看。The landowner rarely comes down to the fields to inspect. When a restaurant or shop goes out of business, the usual phrase is 停业。生意直走下坡，迫使我们不得不停业。Business keeps going downhill, forcing us to close down. 这起火灾之后，餐厅关门停业。After the fire, the restaurant closed its doors for good. 员工当然反对停业，他们会马上失业。The employees naturally oppose the closure, as they'll immediately lose their jobs. Another way to express one's occupation is to use the pattern 以为业. 以 having the meaning of take or make use of. 我大叔 以木工为业. My uncle is a carpenter. 你问我想以何事为业，我回答说没想过. You're asking me what I want to do in life, and my answer is I've never thought about it. And here are some different occupations or industries based on the characters learned up to now. 我有一个对电影业很内行的朋友. I've got a friend who's very knowledgeable about the movie industry. 他拿不定主意是否要加入食品业. He can't make up his mind whether to go into the food industry. 这个小镇以手工业为主. This small town is mainly engaged in the handicrafts trade. A religious usage of 业 is to translate the Buddhist term karma, originally from Sanskrit. How it came to be used this way I can only guess. It may be an extension of the meaning of the wallboards and wooden beams of a house to describe the framework of one's life, deriving from the effects of one's words, actions, and thoughts in a previous existence. This expression is not tossed around in conversation to mean well-deserved punishment or comeuppance, the way karma is used in English. It's simply a religious term, so I only have a phrase instead of a full sentence. 人生来的业力, the personal karma one is born with that will affect his or her life. And finally, we have a rarely used adverb meaning already, a combination of 以 meaning to stop from way back in lesson 14, and today's new character 业. Their combined sense may be derived from that wooden framework meaning the basic structure has already been determined. No dictionary will help me out here, but I doubt 业已 is simply an arbitrarily coined phrase. It's not, however, commonly spoken. 他指派我的差事业已完成了. The job he assigned me to do is already finished. 当我到家时，他业已走了. When I got home, he'd already left. 天黑了以后，留在街道上的人业已不多. After dark, there were already few people on the streets. 因为生意不景气，五金行业已关门了. Business was poor, and the hardware store has already closed for good. 业已知道如何予以回答此恼人的问题. The way to respond to this vexing problem is already known. Today's second character is the top part of 业, with 曲 as phonetic, replacing the tree element underneath. It's pronounced second tone, 从, 从. Taking 曲 as the phonetic component seems quite a stretch, until you remember that some characters are thousands of years old, and the phonetic part may have been quite similar in ancient times. Such is the case with 从. I've explained before that the dialects found in southern China, Cantonese, for example, are closest to what ancient Chinese sounded like with its much more complex tone system. Mandarin, on the other hand, is a northern dialect, which has lost many features and tones of the original language. Taiwanese also has its origins in southern China, in Fujian province to be exact. So I asked a Taiwanese friend how to pronounce 曲 in her dialect. She said 醋, which easily explains why this new character 从 contains 曲, or 醋, as its phonetic element. So, what does this new character 从 mean? Recall what we said about 叶. It was a horizontal board for suspending various bells during ceremonies. That row of sawtooth cutouts on top was reminiscent of treetops viewed from a distance. So, 丛 means trees or shrubs growing thickly, as if crowded or bunched together. The combination 丛林 means a jungle or forest. 大象生活在丛林里. Elephants live in the jungle. 野草成了丛林，走了半天才能过去. It took us a long time to get through the forest of weeds. 我们已迷失在丛林里，而无法回去. We were lost in the forest with no way back. When plants grow dense and lush, the term for it is 丛生. 草木丛生的土地 heavily forested land. 人行道上野草丛生 thick grass grew on the sidewalks. 在山坡上野花丛生 wildflowers grew in profusion on the mountain slope. 他们在曾是野草丛生的田里开了个小走道. They carved out a path through what had been a field of dense weeds. This dense growth of plants can be extended to describe a multitude of problems arising at one time, or diseases breaking out everywhere. 开业不久后，问题丛生. Once the business was up and running, problems started coming thick and fast. And when used to describe a series or collection of books, the proper term for it is 丛书. 作家林语堂的丛书在哪里买? Where can I buy the collected works of Lin Yutang? Lin Yutang was a well-known 20th century Chinese linguist, novelist, translator, and philosopher, who compiled a large Chinese-English dictionary in the 1970s that I still own and use regularly. Here is our color chart with today's two characters. 叶 and 丛. Here's a summary of today's lesson. 1. The ceremonial staff with its elaborate ornamentation on top that we saw in the character 对 in lesson 90 now refers to a horizontal wooden board with sawtooth-like cutouts on top for hanging bells. The character 叶. This wooden framework was applied to the wallboards of a house and later to the front and back wooden covers of books. 2. The most productive use of 叶 today is as a reference to the cover-to-cover mastery of ancient classics and thus schooling in general. This gives us the expressions 作业 for homework assignments or tasks and 毕业 for finishing one's studies and graduation from a class. 3. This idea of the cover-to-cover mastery of a book then extended to the mastery of any area of special knowledge, such as a trade, occupation, or profession. Thus we have 行业 for one's line of work, 事业 for enterprise or career, 工业 for a specific industry, 创业 for creating a business, 开业 for beginning to practice a profession, 就业 for gaining employment, 失业 for becoming unemployed, and 停业 for going out of business. 4. Today's second and final character, 从, incorporates that same horizontal board for suspending bells during ceremonies. That row of sawtooth cutouts on top was suggestive of treetops viewed from afar. So 从 now means trees or shrubs growing thickly and crowded together. Phrases with this character are 丛林 for a jungle or forest, 丛生 for densely growing plants, countless problems or rampant disease. And finally, 丛书 is for a series or collection of books. Now you will find a short quiz on double, triple character, and longer expressions. Answer using only the characters learned so far. Thank you for watching and listening.